Hey, what's up you guys? So today I'm going to be showing you my 23andme results. I sent my DNA in around 2013. At that time, they still offered health reports, which they don't right now. And the reasons that they don't include the health reports is because the FDA put some restrictions on them. I guess they needed to make sure that the information they were providing was something that can be verified or had certain permissions. I'm not really sure. So I've actually used 23andme twice already. Once was for myself and the second time was for my brother. And when my brother got his DNA tested, it was when they didn't include the health reports. So something that changed after the FDA placed these restrictions on 23andme, this was quite some time afterwards, that the price actually seemed to double. Well, not seemed, but it actually did double. It used to be about $100 and now it's around $200 plus shipping. So I understand that companies will raise their prices because of inflation, even though I'm not really sure how it works exactly, but I know it's something that occurs. But I think when you double the price of something, you have to have a pretty good reason for doing that, because your customers are not going to be too happy with that kind of increase. I don't know the reasoning behind the huge price increase. They increased the price after the FDA placed restrictions on them and they were offering you less information than before, so I didn't see a good reason to double the price. So I was pretty disappointed by this. It's also disappointing the problems they have with the FDA, and I'm pretty sure that the new 23andme is not going to be including all the information that's included in my version of 23andme that has all the health reports. While I am interested in my ancestry, I also found the health reports very interesting as well, and it was one of the main reasons that I actually decided to have my DNA sent to 23andme. I'm always looking to get the most for my money, and at the time when I got tested, it offered the most for my money. Alright guys, so let's move on to my actual results. I'm going to sign in. Okay, so before I start, let me tell you a little bit about my ancestry, which I don't know very much of. The only thing that I know is that my parents are both from Dominican Republic, and their parents as well. And I also know that most people of Latino Hispanic origins are pretty much mixed. So obviously I don't really look like a typical Dominican because I'm very light-skinned. Before I got my results, I was expecting to have some European DNA. I wasn't sure how much, but because I'm very pale skinned, I knew that there had to be some in there. And I actually do not look like most Dominicans. Most Dominicans have brown skin, so most people don't even realize I'm Dominican unless they hear me speak Spanish. Alright, so let's take a look at my ancestry results. Okay, so as you can see here, there's different levels of confidence in the results. So let's look at speculative first. It has the most details, but obviously it's the less accurate one. So keep in mind I have seen this before, and I am mostly of European ancestry, but I'm also mixed with other things, as you can see. Okay, so let's take a look at the conservative view now. And as I said, it's more accurate, but it has less information. And if you take a look, it says here that half of my DNA is unassigned. Something else that's included is some additional ancestry info. There is a maternal and paternal haplogroup, and if you are a girl or a woman, you're not going to be able to get your paternal line information. You'll only be able to get the maternal haplogroup information. I'm not an expert on DNA, but from my understanding, you need to have a male relative tested. I think preferably a brother or maybe your father. But I suggest looking into that if you're a female and plan to get tested. Maybe you'd rather have your brother tested instead of yourself so you get a more complete information. And I actually misunderstood this a little bit, and I thought that my genetic percentage list would change if I had my brother tested because my information wasn't complete. And I had my brother tested and the percentages were pretty similar. there is not much difference, maybe like a 1% difference in some areas. So I don't think it's even worth having your brother tested if you just want the list of percentages for ancestry. If you're interested in the haplogroup information, then you do need to have a male relative tested. Okay, so let's move on to my Neanderthal ancestry. So some of my ancestors actually procreated with Neanderthals, which I think is pretty cool and interesting to know that I have Neanderthal DNA in me. If you take a look below, you'll see that there's also some example populations listed and their percentage of Neanderthal DNA. And there's also people listed on here that contacted me, which I will blur out their names to protect their privacy. Okay, so let's take a look at the health risks, which are likely to be removed in the update. And like I said, this information is only available to people who sent their DNA in before the FDA placed its restrictions on 23andme. One thing I knew that there would be an elevated risk for is Alzheimer's, because I've been told by my parents that some people in our family have had Alzheimer's. And as you can see, it's the first thing on the list. I'm just going to scroll through my results so you guys can get an idea of what is included. I can't go through everything because there's just too much on this list. The next section we're going to go to is the drug response results. Taking a quick look, I can see that most of the results are typical. And the first thing on the list, I'm not sure what it is. The second thing I see listed here is hepatitis C treatment response, which is something good to know in case you have hepatitis C, that you're going to have a reduced response to certain treatments. Now let's take a look at the next section. It's for inherited conditions. And on this list are going to be conditions which you can be a carrier for or that you may have inherited yourself. And as you can see, I tested positive for one condition, which I'm a carrier for, which means that if I have a child with someone who is also a carrier, there's some risk that our child could have this condition. And hopefully 23andme isn't going to be removing this information from their update because this is actually really useful. If you're aware that you're a carrier, you can have your partner tested and you can assess the risk before you have a baby. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through these so you guys can see them. Okay, and next up are traits. Most of the traits on this list seem to be physical traits, and it looks like the first 7 are pretty accurate about myself. I am lactose intolerant, my hair does have a slight curl to it, and I don't flush when I drink alcohol. As for the rest of the stuff on this list, I can't validate its accuracy because I don't have the knowledge to validate it, and some of it isn't visible on this page. It says see report next to it. So something I forgot to mention is that if you click on a condition or a trait, you'll see more information and you can see what genes specifically correlate to different traits or conditions. Okay, so let's take a look at health tools and ancestry tools, and some parts of these are going to be removed in the upcoming update. So let's take a quick look. Okay guys, so that's mostly it. There are other things you can use on the website. You can communicate with other people who share your DNA. Most of them are going to be distant cousins. At least they were in my case. And right now you can elect not to communicate with anyone if you want. But if you do decide to communicate with people, they're mostly going to be asking you about your family history. At least that was my experience. Most of them seem to be looking for information to figure out how they relate to you. Okay guys, thanks for watching and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye bye!